I've worked in this courthouse for over 20 years. Seen trials that made headlines, verdicts that changed lives. But nothing prepared me for what happened that afternoon in courtroom 3. It started with a dog. I noticed him just before the trial began. A stray, thin, dirty, with patches of fur missing. He hovered near the courthouse steps, sniffing the air, watching people as they entered. No one paid much attention, just another street dog, ignored like the dozens you see around the city. But then he did something strange. As soon as the doors opened, he slipped inside, weaving through the crowd unnoticed. I figured security would kick him out, but the moment they reached for him, he darted into courtroom 3, right in the middle of the most anticipated case of the month. Judge Harrison, an old-school, no-nonsense type, was about to start proceedings when the dog entered. He didn't run or bark at first. He just stood there, panting, eyes scanning the room as if searching for something, or someone. Then, just as the lead witness took the stand, the dog barked. Once, twice, 3 times. The room fell silent. The judge frowned. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. Security moved toward the dog, but before they could reach him, something happened that made every person in that room freeze. The witness, a middle-aged man, well-dressed, confident, went pale. His hands clenched the wooden railing. His whole body went rigid as the dog took a few hesitant steps forward, tail still, ears perked. Then the dog whimpered. A sound so soft, so familiar, it sent chills down my spine. The witness swallowed hard. I saw his eyes dart toward the prosecution, toward the jury, then back to the dog. And in that moment, something cracked. His face twisted, not in anger, not in annoyance, but in fear. "Get that dog out of here," he snapped, voice a little too sharp, a little too desperate. But the judge, watching him closely, raised a hand. "Wait." The dog took another step forward, sniffing the air, his tail wagging now, just slightly. The room was so quiet you could hear the hum of the ceiling lights. Then, with slow, deliberate movements, the judge leaned forward. "Do you know this dog?" he asked. The witness opened his mouth, but no words came. He glanced at the defense attorney, then at the prosecutor, then back at the dog. His breathing had changed, shallower, faster. "Sir," the judge pressed, and then, under the weight of that silence, it happened. The man collapsed into his chair, shoulders sagging. He let out a shaky breath, rubbing his face as if trying to erase whatever was going through his mind. I didn't mean to." His voice was barely above a whisper. "It was an accident." Gasps filled the courtroom. The prosecutor shot to his feet. The defense attorney's mouth fell open. Even the stenographer, who never missed a beat, paused, fingers hovering over the keys. The confession had come out of nowhere. Judge Harrison straightened. "Are you admitting to perjury?" The witness closed his eyes, nodding slowly. "Yes." The dog let out a soft whine and, as if sensing the moment, finally sat down. Later, we learned the full story. The witness had been covering for someone, his boss, a wealthy businessman accused of fraud. The dog, as it turned out, belonged to a former employee who had mysteriously disappeared months ago after trying to expose the corruption. No one had seen or heard from him since. But his dog had been waiting, searching, and on that fateful day, he'd somehow found his way to the one person who knew the truth, and forced it into the light. The case took a dramatic turn after that. The real culprit was brought to justice, all because a stray dog refused to be ignored. I still think about that day. About how something so small, so unexpected, could unravel a lie and change everything. And every time I see a stray dog outside the courthouse, sniffing the air, watching people come and go, I wonder if he's searching, too.